Okay, it's made of two words, Shanti Niketan. Shanti means peace. You must have heard Om Shanti and things. It means peace, and Niketan means house. So the literal meaning of that is peace house. And this name was used first by the Nobel laureate from India. His name was Rabindranath Tagore. He started, yeah. Yes,
Correct,
that's the
correct,
place.
correct.
That's the one he started. It's a university actually called ShantiNiketan, where it is kind of the old time traditional classes under the trees and stuff. So I had been there in 1977 and I was so impressed with the whole outfit that later on I said if I did something, I will name it ShantiNiketan. Thank you for having us on the show. This in year 2004, when my first wife was alive, still, we were living in Lansing, Michigan. So our two daughters had got married, and only our son was in the final year of college there in Michigan State. And we were sitting in our patio backyard on the deck having a cup of tea, and we were talking to each other. Now, what now with our lives ahead? We are literally going to be empty nesters. What do we do next in our life? Is this going to be our lifestyle, just living here, you and me alone? And we said no. Both of us came from very uh, deep Catholic families, and our parents had instilled the missionary spirit within us. So we said we always wanted to do social work, give back to the community, and we were wondering what to do. And just then I saw an Indian newspaper article that the title was uh, a home for retired Indian seniors. And I got very excited and I said, this is the place we have to go live. And then from there we can do our social work. So I contacted the person who organized the conference in Los Angeles and I said, where is this place we want to go? He started laughing and he said, no, there is nothing like that. This was a conference to discuss the need. And I come from a background of developers in my family in India. And I said, it doesn't sound too complicated. Building houses cannot be complicated. So, do you think if I build a community for Indian retirees, there would be takers? He said, oh, people would die for it. So, Shanti, my first wife, incidentally, her name is also Shanti. Uh, so, we two decided to go on a cross country road trip, and I had advertised in the Indian newspaper that we are going around the country to assess the need for such a community. So we stopped at many people responded from all the various cities where Indians are live. I used to meet in people's homes. They were kind enough to even let us stay with them. And they would invite 5, 10 friends in their house the next morning. Typically, this was on weekends. And we will tell them what we plan to do. And so I would just give a dummy plan. Originally, I started off with a high rise building with apartments on top and the clubhouse at the bottom, a typical condominium complex. And people started throwing stones at the idea. They said, we all live in independent homes and we don't want to move into a New York style apartment complex. We don't want to live in a pigeonhole. We want to be able to step outside the house and smell the roses. So immediately, my the whole travel process was like making a sculpture. People slowly chipped off of my idea what was not needed. So like that we went twice actually cross country. and I had met hundreds of people by then. And when I came back, I knew, yes, there is a market for this. People were waiting for something like this. And the main reason was uh, you cannot get pure vegetarian food anywhere unless you go in search of a restaurant in a big city. So, because the Indian, the Hindus, that's the majority, most of them were that, all of them rather, they are such strict vegetarians that they would not eat anywhere even if they cooked eggs, you know. So that is how I slowly formulated the whole idea, and then we decided, okay, let's go to Orlando. Okay, and the reason for Orlando was, one was definitely the weather, and the second thing was Disney. Not that we wanted to go to Disney. So everybody said, if we were near Orlando, our children who would otherwise not come to see us more would bring their children, our grandchildren, to Disney, and we will get to see them. So there was a vested interest in selecting Orlando, you know. Yes. Yes, yes. See, you have to see the history of Indians migrating to the United States. The majority of us migrated in the 60s and 70s. Okay. Most of us who migrated at that time, including myself, were professionals. They were doctors, engineers, accountants, professors. And we all, when we came to the US at that time, we told ourselves, we are going there to make money. Okay, we would go there, make money, work for 5 years or maybe 10 years, and then we would return home. Okay, that is how every Indian comes to the United States. But then what happens is, after that, most of us go back to India to find a girl. It's a concept of arranged marriages. We go there, marry the woman, and we bring her back here. And already we are here for 3 to 5 years. And then we say, hey, my wife has just come. Let me give her some enjoyment of this materialism a little bit. And then children come. Okay. And once children come, you want to give them another 5, 10 years of this materialistic life. Because at that age, materialism is everything you can think about. And then the children are grown to an age, and the wife is also so rooted. They said, we don't want to come to India. If you want, you go. So so the concept of going back to India got shattered for majority. There were a few brave souls who went to India to try it out. Because our dream about India was the time we left it. We had friends around, we had family, and all those things. And every time we went on a holiday, annual holiday, or every 2 years, we were treated like royalty. Everybody would invite us for a dinner at their house, and they would come and see us. And we thought, wow, this is utopia. This is where I want to retire. But the hard part is, after you're 60 or 70, you go back to India where the life expectancy is much lower. Half your friends have gone.
Oh God.
They passed away. Okay. So then what happens? The remaining half is embroiled in their own grandchildren life and family life and all the problems. Half of them are sick. They can't even go out. So you're not treated as a royalty anymore when you go to live there. You're just one of them. So that kind of people said, no, no, no. And above all this, the grandchildren and their children so are in the United States, and the heart is here. Okay, in the Indian culture, Hindu culture rather, the bodies after death are cremated. burnt in the funeral pyre. And the child, mostly the boys, if there are boys, if there are no boys, the girl has to light the funeral pyre. They believe their soul will go to heaven only if the child lights the funeral pyre.
That's our belief, yeah.
Yeah, that's the religious belief. So they say now if we are here in India and I die, I'm not sure if my children can come. And the COVID now has exasperated that even more. So they said, no, 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 no. I have to go live there because their dream was shattered about India. Friends are not there, half of them are gone. We are not treated as royalty. And India is not like before. You cannot have five maids and servants anymore because they are also expensive. So people came back. So the only way was for somebody at that time to create a piece of India within the United States, which is what is ShantiNiketan. Okay, when we built ShantiNiketan, Shanti and myself, we wanted to live there because Shanti was what do you call not a street smart person, and
She's beautiful.
yeah, and I always believed I will die first. So we moved. I wanted us to live there because after I died, she would be surrounded by people of her own kind who will hopefully not take her for a ride with finances and things like that. So we built the first phase, and 2010 it was nearing completion. Uh, Unfortunately, in November of 2010, she developed leukemia. Yeah, and we had to go to Tampa literally 3, 4 times a week to the Moffitt Cancer Institute. And my son was actually working near Tampa for Raytheon at that time. So we went, and the doctor said this is going to be really a very involved treatment. So they even had an apartment complex across the hospital that they gave us free, that we could stay there so that we can just walk across because she literally had to go through blood transfusion every day, almost. So I moved with her. We moved to that apartment, and my son moved. He left his job and he came back and he said, "I'll manage the business now." Yes. So he used to run the business weekdays, and on Friday evening he would drive that 1.5 hours to Moffat, and then we will stay there overnight, all of us. And the next morning, I would leave and come to Shantiniketan because Saturday, Sundays was the main time that potential buyers visited. And I wanted to be talking to them and all those things. So that's how we spent the whole year. But unfortunately, in spite of a bone marrow transplant, which really did not succeed. She passed away in on December 17th of 2011. So uh, now I have to tell you about December 17th. My daughter-in-law, who's married to my third son, he's the only son, who's from Malaysia, she was born on December 17th.
Very coincidence.
So I tell everybody, the one lady of the house passed away, but we got another lady, Ignatius, into the family on this, who was born on that day.
It's like a soul traveled.
So that's how with Shanti the chapter. And then people told me, you know what, you came here for Shanti because you will die first, but she was actually with you to see this is completed so that you can live there and you will be fed every day. And then she left. You know, I know it sounds very poetic. Yeah, and then in 2013, Many of my friends and my spiritual guru, they said, in the line of business that I am, I will be respected more if I am married than if I am single. I don't know why they said that. Maybe single women would be afraid to come.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you for inviting us in your program. We'll be very happy to be with you and then talking to you and all. Uh, my background and everything is not as exciting as my husband. It's nice and very simple, but I'm a very happy and then fun person. Uh, yeah, I was married when I was 22, and then anyway I came to USA. Uh, Very good life and all, and then the things all changes every day life. That's what happened with my late husband, and then he got sick and passed away in 2001. Uh, Afterwards, this is a time of life for me. It was a little bit of struggling because I was diagnosed with the breast cancer as soon as my husband passed away. But somehow I got over of it. I came out fine. I thanking God for every day. So everything was going well, back to kind of normal in a way. My friends and then my relatives ask, "Why are you still staying single? Everything is okay. Find some partner for your life." That's the way it happened with them, So, and then of course I'll talk to I got two boys that I'm 17 and 19. I kind of get their opinion to what do you think about mom is getting married. I think it's a little bit easier with the boys than having the daughters about these kind of questions. They say, no problem, mom. Whatever it's make you happy, go for it. I thought, okay, that's great, thank you. I'm not worried much about asking my parents and family permission back home in India. They wouldn't mind as long as I'm happy, they are happy too. So in the meantime, and then Iggy and myself, we have a common friends in Chicago area. Somehow they got some kind of function was going on. We both ended up to be here, and then our friends they both know we both are singles, so they try to match up with us. That's the way we kind of click. Looking at my husband, that face and then cute smile, and then he's into the spiritual. Iggy is a spiritual. That's kind of attracts me too. So that's the way we kind of click. So that's the way we are connected, and then we are happy together, and then we really fortunate to have each other. You know.
When I started ShantiNiketan in 2008, after research, um, I, being a minimalist and a spiritualist, I did not want to cater to people's vanities. I did not want to cater to people's wants. I said, I come from a very humble background and I will cater to the middle class. And I took the yardstick as the average social security amount in the United States, and which today is 1500. It was about 1300 at that time. And I said, I will create a facility where a couple can live after having bought the home, because I assumed most of the people have their home they come from and they buy a home here, but they would be able to live there under one person social security income, which will include food for two people, all three meals, coffee, tea, uh, the condo dues, the property taxes, and utilities. That would be the basic retirement need for anybody. And when I started the facility before, when I was marketing it, I used to tell them it will cost you $800 to live here for a couple. And Nobody believed me. They said, you cannot do it. Okay. A month for two people. Okay. And when they actually started, I thought all the poor people, the middle class people will come. But to my surprise, everybody who came was a millionaire, multi-millionaire. 50% of them are retired physicians, professors, accountants,
Engineers.
everything, And I said, oh my God, I'm attracting this particular. I didn't expect this crowd to come. I said, millionaires, oh, they won't come here. This is meant for the guy who's going to retire on Social Security income and his house. So they sold their house. But then the mix of people who came was totally different, which is fine. And in fact, the competition has already started like 2 3 years before, and some people wanted large homes, because everybody comes from a 4 5,000 square foot home because of their background, and they wanted big single family homes with a yard and backyard, garden, everything. And I refrained from saying that because in my heart I felt that was vanity, that was a want. It's not a need in retirement. Yeah, what happened was in 2008 January, I had entered into contract for the land, and I had lined up about 11 investors who gave me 100,000 each. I don't know any of them. They just saw the passion in me for doing this, and they were people who believed that such a community is needed for the Indians here. So they said, and they were all multi-millionaires, 100,000 was peanuts for them. They said, I am going to back this project. No, they were all Indians. Yes. Because only they believed the need was there. So they put the money because these were the buyers also ultimately. Okay, they wanted to also come and live there themselves. They were already retired people. So I got that. Anyway, we contracted in January, got the approvals, and on August 15th, after all the approvals we had gotten from the city, we took title to the property at that time, and we started the site work. And meanwhile, during this period, I had marketed it by advertising in the Indian newspapers and the Indian television, and I had almost sold out the entire 54 units by receiving $1,000 token investment, token check, which I did not cash. I just held it because real estate laws are very strict. So, uh, what happened was in when I started the work, and right around the corner by end of September, we had this major crash. Okay, and you won't believe every one of those buyers who promised to buy, they called me and they said, Iggy, our retirement plans have changed. We have lost our entire IRA and 401k, and our retirement has been pushed by another 5 to 10 years. So the least we can think about now is retirement. So we are not buying, and better yet, return our $1,000 back. Literally everybody took it back. And I didn't have any money at that time. I didn't know what to do. And people said, you know what, your plan is so great. People are afraid to give you money now. But if you could build a model, a sample, then people would buy, they wouldn't worry. So I went and I borrowed from my friends. I had to borrow at that time, I think $400,000. I borrowed that money. People believed me, and on that point, till today, I have not borrowed a single penny from the bank for the 300 homes I've built, because I do not believe in borrowing. I don't have a credit card, like things like that. Anyway, we used 400,000 to build it, and my revenue was like 800,000. There were 9 condos. Okay, So as soon as I built it was built in wings in a hub and spoke model with a clubhouse in the middle and all the wings of the condos radiating away from it. So nobody has to walk more than the distance of one wing to the clubhouse. So I built one wing of 9 condos, and when people came and saw that, they gave me money on one hand and took title. They were not worried because they knew they have their house and the land where I'm going to develop the thing. Now, because we attracted people who were already retired and millionaires, everybody did not risk all their money in the stock market. So everybody did not lose. So there were sufficient people who wanted this kind of a place. And because of that vegetarianism, mainly number one, and the social composition,
Culture, yeah.
they
Yes.
cannot get this anywhere. So everybody, I literally sold out quickly, because they just like what happened during COVID in 2008 and 9, people didn't know if the economy was going to ever recover or is this the beginning of the downfall of America. All of us, I'm sure you've been through that. We all were not sure, just like COVID. When it started, I thought this was the beginning of the end. And that's what everybody thought in 2008. So that actually pushed people to buy into Shantiniketan even more because they didn't know how long they will live and they got the money, might as well buy it and move in. So that's how the 2008, to your question, Jean, is how I faced it. And that was actually a blessing for us, I would say. No, okay. Number one, the community is open to everybody because there is a law called FHA, Fair Housing Act, and if we discriminated in selling, we could go to jail. Because so we never say this is an Indian community. We only say it's a 55 plus community, but it offers Indian food and Indian the temple and things, just like Indian restaurants or Chinese restaurants. They serve Chinese food, but they cannot say only Chinese can come. So just like that, in our community, we have Indian food, we have a temple where they pray and all that is okay, but it's open to anybody. But because of the infrastructure, we need to offer all these facilities, like we need a commercial kitchen and a big dining hall, a banquet hall, and a lot of activity rooms. Our prices typically are 10 to 20% more than homes of similar size across the street. So, people are non-Indian or even Indians who don't want what we offer, the services, why would they pay the premium to come here? So that kind of made it 100% Indian crowd. Okay, now from that $800 I told you, and you were yeah, yeah, Gil, you were asking me about Jill, right? Jill or Gil? Oh,
Jean and Jill, right?
Gil.
Mm.
Yeah, Gil. Uh, Gil, you asked me what happened to that vision and all of the common man. Okay, although the millionaires came and bought it, because I think I don't know, unfortunately or fortunately, all Indians seem to be millionaires.
They work hard for it to become that level.
They only millionaires are there to buy it. But
I can hear it what they're saying.
so yeah, back to Gene, your question, what it costs. Today it costs about 12 to $1,300 a couple for the food, utilities, condo fees, and property taxes. And the properties now cost, the property sizes have gone up little bit to 1200 square feet from the original 1000 square feet. And today it costs, we sell it at 250,000. And all the previous properties that we sold at 125, 130, 160 are now also at the same price. They sell at the same price that our prices are, 250,000. So there's an appreciation. Things have doubled in value. Yeah, so the common man, my charter was a couple can live here under one person's social security income, which is 1560 today, one average, and in most cases, two people get that. So, but they today they spend only 12 to $1,300. It's still very much under one person's social security income. No, nobody takes a mortgage. It's all 100% cash buyers. See, because most of the people come from a multi-million dollar property. Most of them in the snow belt own maybe half a million or a million or a $2 million house. And typically, what they do is they take a home equity line loan and they pay cash to buy this, because I also advise them, this is your retirement home, possibly the last home you will live in your life. Do not take a mortgage and risk anything, because everybody can remember 2008. I said, please, please, I said, even if they want a mortgage, I tell them, please don't do it, because I don't want to see any of my residents lose everything in the stock market. Yeah. So that is how they buy their home, and usually after 5 years, they are convinced that this is the place they should live. They put their house on sale, their own home, pay off that home equity, and then they move here. Yes, they get. We used to give breakfast, but not anymore, because the women, they don't want to come out without dressing up. Okay, so and that happens only by lunchtime. These are all housewives. They are, I mean, retired, so they sleep late, they wake up late, and so for they make a cup of tea and a slice of bread at home for breakfast, and it's only the single men, about four or five of them, used to come every day to eat breakfast. Okay. Dosa and idli. You like dosa and idli?
You are familiar with the dosa.
Yeah. Yeah. Saravana Bhavan, yes. Yes. Yeah. So we used to give breakfast, but now people said don't give breakfast because everybody doesn't eat. So we just give coffee and tea there in the clubhouse.
24/7.
Anybody can come 24/7, have it. And we serve hot cooked lunch and hot cooked dinner. So really two full meals a day, and for all 7 days a week. Uh, and the menu is dictated by the residents. So once a year we have a survey. People, all the food we have been serving, and then we add some new suggestions, and they rank it 1 through 10. So anything that is a below of 5, we do not cook anymore. And between 5 and 10, like for example, dosa is always a 10.
It's a hot item.
Everybody loves dosa. So that has to be there. Every week, one day would be dosa. So if it got a 10 or a 9, it would be practically present in the menu once a week. If it was 8 or a 7, it would be once in 2 weeks. It was a 5 or a 6, it would be once a month. So we make the menu for 28 days, 4 weeks, and it automatically repeats it after every 28 days. Yes, we always eat there. In fact, I always joke. They said, "How did you attract such a pretty woman?" So, so I told all I had to tell her was, if you
No
married me, you
cooking.
never have to cook in your life.
You don't have to clean on the stove. That's really worked for me.
Otherwise, you think such a pretty woman would marry me?
He bribed me.
Yes,
And then, by the way, he himself a very excellent cook. He loves to
I
cook.
love cooking.
Excellent
Yes.
cook.
Typically, the couples come to buy into ShantiNiketan, and I'm talking with them. And the woman will look at me and he say, "You know why I want to buy here? This man doesn't know how to make a cup of tea. And if we move here, and if I die first, at least this man will be fed. I can die in peace." And the man will be the man's turn to talk. He says, Iggy, why we want to come here? Because this woman knows nothing, refuses to learn. She cannot even balance the checkbook.
They have both straight up
So,
stories
so
there.
if I die, I will be happy that she lives in a community where she's taken well care of by people of the same culture, religion, language, and she will not be taken for a ride. That was very, very important for people who come here. We have doctors,
We
as
have
I
a
told you, we
doctors,
have doctors, we have,
psychiatrist, doctor, all kinds of.
in fact, there seem to be a lot more Indian psychiatrists. And I used to joke around saying, I'm going to rename this as the Nut House. Okay, yeah, the clubhouse, there is a prayer room. We call it a prayer room, where, of course, 100% of the residents are Hindus. So they keep their statues. They do every evening. There is something called bhajans. Bhajans are nothing but hymns, Hindu hymns, and arti. Arti is the one where they keep ringing the bell with one hand and they put the fire thing, the incense or something in the other hand around each statue. So every evening at 6:30 to 7 is that. So usually people come in for that, finish that, and then they sit for dinner. So that. Then we have various activities. The uh, people do. Residents organize it. We don't get involved. Like somebody knows music, somebody knows dancing, somebody knows how to play bridge. They collect the interested people and they have different clubs. Yoga is a big thing.
Meditation
Yoga,
rooms.
meditation. And so much so, in the early days, one of the children, who was a doctor herself, visiting us, she came to me and said, Iggy, I have a complaint. I said, what? She said, before Shantiniketan, my mom was sitting by the phone, always waiting for my call. And if I was late by 10 minutes, she would say, what happened? Why didn't you call me? Okay. And she says, now, when I call her, she says, "Oh, baby, I have to go for this
I'm
yoga or
busy. I'll
meditation.
call you
I'm
later.
busy. Can I talk to you later?" So the daughter said, "I have this complaint to make. You made these people not wait for our calls anymore. They have so much activities."
Bingos,
So this
bingos.
is what they get overall, and by a design, people who talk their own language eat their same food. I always say it is like talking about, we can sit and talk about in American maybe Nixon. Retirees can sit and talk about Nixon, but our children will not know who Nixon was. So our conversation goes to our prime time in life, and we all can relate to it. I think that is what is gives a lot of peace in retirement. You're surrounded by people who can talk at your wavelength.
Even nowadays, trips and all we taking, that's one is.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. In fact, there was a movie made, English movie, based in India, where they converted one of the old palaces into a retirement community for expats. What was the movie called? It was a flower name like daffodils or some flower.
In Delhi, Bombay, or something?
No, the movie we went, and Fox, who produced the film, invited all ShantiNiketan people and gave us a free show, a preview show of that
I
movie.
have that auto rickshaw there. I can bring it
Yeah,
over. You want me to
no,
get
that's it.
that?
Pardon? Marigold Hotel,
That's
yes.
what it is. Correct.
Fox produced it and they gave a special invitation to
Actually,
Shantiniket.
that came with one and two.
There were
You
two
know,
parts
two
to it.
parts. Right. Mm.
And all American expats were
Right.
there.
Nice movie. That was nice movie.
Very nice movie, you know. Pardon? In the community, our clubhouse doubles up as socializing and movie theater, dining hall. In fact, we have programs once a month. We have a music program, karaoke. In fact, I am a musician, my singer myself, and I teach people there to sing. A lot of people have their lifelong ambition to sing, and they've never sung before. So I bring them all. I teach. We have a class every Tuesday and Thursday. I teach them how to sing, and we give a performance once a month. Oh,
In
okay.
YouTube, they have it. Another things, once a month we have a Super Saturday. Pretty much, if anybody wants to do anything, come to the stage and they can do whatever they want to do. They don't feel bad, hey, I'm not good or anything like that. Just to open their mouth to do something,
It's
you
the
know.
it's the equivalent of children's parents' day in schools, where
That's
parents
us.
would come and children would show their talent. Here is in reverse. The parents would show their talents to the youngsters who would all be invited on that day.
It's like a to-do list, whatever they say.
Okay, now the movies have stopped playing in the clubhouse because Indians, one of their favorite pastimes is to watch TV programs, serials.
Lots of sailors going on.
Okay, there are about 5 or 10 Indian channels that you can receive through Dish TV. So everybody is so hooked up for the whole night, like from 6 in the evening till 10 in the night. It's like we all were hooked on Dallas those days. But this is the everyday serial that goes on. In fact, people will not want to eat dinner. Everybody say, please pack my food and give. I have to go. My serial is going on. I came in between the commercial to pick up my food.
I think because of the pandemic, that's what has happened for the last 2 years. This is what happening.
But this Indians like this. See, in retirement, what Indians do is different from what others do. They like to sit and gossip. They are always they are
Yes.
always worried about what's happening to others. And unfortunately, I don't want to say this. She might beat me. The women are more into that gossip. Men are into the larger gossip as to whether Republicans are better or
The
Democrats are better.
politics, they go into
You
the,
know, it's a male gossip is different from female gossip.
the life has to go on. Okay.
You can censor this. Pardon, I didn't get your. Yes, again, yes. See, not everybody eats in the food club. It's an optional thing because India is. I don't know if you know, India really has 250 dialects, languages, and there are about 24 states, and each state speaks a different language. In fact, the majority of the people here, we can talk to each other only in English.
Yeah, right.
Hindi is a language that brings, I would say, 60% of the people together because of Bollywood movies. But the remaining 40% wouldn't know Hindi, like she doesn't know any Hindi. I know a bit of Hindi because I studied in the northern India, but we among Indians, we
We
can only
communicate.
speak in English.
Mm.
We cannot understand in our own languages. Yes, okay. Very clearly, we are not a healthcare facility. We are not, we are only an active adult community. Healthcare, there are different aspects of healthcare. There is something called assisted living facility, there is nursing homes, dementia homes, and finally the hospice. And all these things are heavily regulated by the state. You have to have a licensed person to even run it. So we, yes, okay. Yes, see, almost, I would say almost everybody is on Medicare, including ourselves. Okay, so and then the Central Florida is the geriatric capital of US. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is
Yeah.
known as the geriatric
It's a
capital.
warmer
So you
price.
have the best doctors in every specialization here. And in fact, it's very difficult for a doctor from another state to move to Florida unless they already have their license because it's state regulated. And so everybody, we have doctors within 5-10 miles radius. We have doctors of all specialities, hospitals, with all specialities. So healthcare is very easy. It's very easy. And then, although 50% of the residents are physicians, during a lunch or something, they will always consult. Hey doc, I'm having a pain here. What do you think? So they'll get free advice. But then in this country, everybody is worried, and Jean will attest to this because this is liability, right? Everybody will sue everybody for anything. Both of you, right, being attorneys. So they're very careful and they'll say, okay, I think this is, but you better go talk to your doctor.
Go to ER.
So the 50% physician doesn't help us really. But everybody goes, everybody, most of the people drive. Otherwise, today you have Uber. So we don't have anything to do with healthcare. Now, the other thing is there are, I would say, at least 10 people who are assisted living facility cases. Okay. None of them will go to assisted living. They will live in ShantiNiketan because if you look at the typical assisted living facility candidate, they go there because somebody at home cannot cook, somebody at home cannot clean the house, and somebody cannot drive. Okay, when these happen in one's life, and especially if you're a single and you need health care, you have no choice in America. You have to go to an assisted living facility. Hospital will be too expensive and insurance will not cover it. But in the Shantiniketan, food is given, housekeeping is provided, maintenance is provided, okay? The basic things for which an American needs to go to an assisted living facility, most of it is covered except healthcare. So, healthcare, there is a component called home healthcare. It is becoming very popular now. So, it's like aging in place in Shantiniketan. They just call a home healthcare agency and get them to come and help them 2 hours a day or 8 hours a day, whatever they would need. Yeah, yeah.
Can we include?
Okay. Yeah, but I have to tell you a larger perspective of what we are talking now. Indians, retired Indians are 10% of the Indian population. Indian population is 3.3 million, and so retirement should be 300,000 people. In Shantiniketan, I have only 300 homes. So obviously, everybody doesn't come here. And the difference between our parents and us, okay, there is a much bigger difference, and I think it's mostly to do with economics and finance. Okay, our parents were typically very poor, very middle class, and we had to take care of them. But our generation of baby boomers are the wealthiest in America's history. Okay, we are financially independent, and children today are scattered all over the country. And most of the baby boomers do not want to live with their children, including now again, when it comes to Indian culture, all these people were not sent here by their children. They chose to buy it with their money. Okay, whereas you were saying about your mom, if you were to send her to an assisted living facility, you would have to pay for it, and that is a major difference. Here, people come voluntarily because they believe this is their lifestyle, retirement lifestyle. And then it's not for everybody. As I said, out of 300,000 potential retirees, only 300 people come here. Yep. Indians don't, yeah, Indians don't play anything. All they would do is gossip and watch serials, TV serials. That's the only thing they really, I mean, quite honestly, we don't have any games, we don't have any physical games because Indians don't do that. They watch TV movies, they watch serials, and they like to sit and talk. So you, is it okay? Rani wants to go. She has something to do.
Okay. Yeah, couldn't hear you.
Yeah, they said thank you for your
Oh,
time.
okay. Thank you for including us. It's nice talking to you. Anytime if you get chance, please come and visit us in Shantiniketan in Florida. Okay. See ya.
Yeah. I am from southern India. My majority of my clients from northern India, but India overall is tropical. It's hot, and Florida is hot in the summer and very pleasant in the other three seasons. Very pleasant. Now, Florida, where we live, this is the latitude of the snow line. It never snows here. Only north of us snows sometimes. So whether people come here, another reason a lot of people come to Florida in general is because women I think because of the childbirth and calcium deficiency, they typically develop arthritis, Indians. And when they come to a warmer climate, that arthritis goes away. No more pain in the joints. Yes, our nearest international airport would be Orlando, which is an hour away. The next one would be Tampa, that is an hour and a half. And Miami is too far, it's 4 hours from here. Yes, yes. In fact, we go often. Emirates is our airline of choice. It goes to Dubai, and from Dubai, it can go to any city in India or Malaysia. Pardon? Non-stop to Dubai. It's a 17-hour flight. Okay. Hold on. Rani, Rani, hold on.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm going to go
Go,
outside.
go.
Okay, sure.
She couldn't wait to get on her phone routine. Rani, phone routine. Yeah. So anyway, so you were asking me about. No, no, children, because we were looking for a piece of India in the United States, and they are not looking for a piece of India. In fact, many of them, even when we talk among our language, when they are younger, they would say, "Oh, I don't understand Spanish." For them, every foreign language is a Spanish. So I don't think they will come here. I don't think so. Any children will come. This will only be populated by the new immigrants who keep coming to this country. So far I've had 32 deaths, and then the condos get sold. It's part of our life. So then it is bought by another person who's ready to retire and a baby boomer age like us, looking for a place like this. And I think that will go on. I don't think our children will come to live here. Yes, Vanaprastha is part of the Hindu religion, which divides life into 4 stages. Okay? The first stage is childhood, and we do our schooling at that time. Okay? And then there is this adolescent, early, maybe 20s stage, where it's the time you get married and you have children and all those things. The third stage is the prime working life, when you gather, enough assets. And the fourth stage is called Vanaprastha. Okay, Vana means actually forest. Okay, Vanam, forest, where the animals live. Pras, Prastha means entry into it. So, forest. So, in the olden days, the old people were supposed to just go away into the forest, not bother their children, and live there and die there. And Vanaprastha, because they wanted Vanaprastha to be the stage, you spend your entire life seeking God, getting close to Him. See, they didn't believe in being very religious throughout their life. Each life has its own stage. And in your last stage, you think more about God. That is Vanaprastha. You are preparing your soul for the journey into the next life. That's what is Vanaprastha. Yes, Niketan. Okay. Now, there are, as I told you, a lot of physicians. So, they have regular classes on living will and all those things. In fact, even the senior centers give you pre printed forms. They will distribute them, ask people to live. I mean, to make sure everybody fills it and signs it. The medical thing, the end of life choices. So everybody is made aware of these things, and if they have not done it, to do it. And in one step forward is, every Hindu has to be cremated. Okay, a group of people have taken the initiative. Normal cremation costs you $6,000. Normal here in Florida. Because you have those viewing and wake and then final cremation. They have gone and negotiated a price for ShantiNiketan funerals. Okay, and the price have been brought down to 3,000 or $3,500. And the funeral homes have in turn turned around and said, you know what, we'll make it the deal even better. You pay us now when you're alive, it'll be $2,500. So, people don't want to burden your children, although most of the people are going to leave millions for their children. But even their funeral expenses, they want to make sure they pay it off when they are alive. So many people have paid their funeral expenses upfront because discount is very important to an Indian. That number for Indians, I would say, will be 80% millionaires. Yes. Because it's the cream of the crop that comes here. Oh, ours is, we in fact call it upscale resort. Yeah, it's not expensive. I mean, $250,000 is nothing for a retire. It's nothing, and $1,300 a month. Anybody can. Any common Joe can afford it. In fact, this may be interesting for you. One of the initiatives that I'm working on is America is best suited to remove any senior homelessness. And I am arguing with people that we have such an excellent schooling system in terms of infrastructure. Using the government money and our taxes, we build the school facilities, and every child from for the 12 years is guaranteed education using that infrastructure. And I think if every town would similarly have something like a Shantiniketan facility for people in retirement, if they don't have a house, to come and live there free, and everybody gets SSA or Social Security. With that, like my $1,200, and if you're not going to pay property taxes and condo fees, your expenses is only about $800. And today, a couple is guaranteed SSA of $850. A single person is guaranteed $550 per month, even if they've never worked in their life. So I think America, because of our SSA and Social Security system, which I think is really great, and Medicare, there is no need to have homeless seniors in this country. There's no need. The government can easily take care of it. And that is going to be one of my initiatives I'm going to work on going forward. Yes. Yeah, it's a shame the richest country in the earth has to have homeless problem. It's a shame. Even Japan has provided homes for their seniors. You know, they have built these huge apartments in every town where a senior can go live, don't pay rent, nothing. And America hasn't done it. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, I'm a Catholic. I was born a Catholic, and now I'm just a spiritual person, mostly spirituality. But I have an interesting anecdote on that. My family, my cousins and all are very fanatic Catholics. So I have one of my cousins in Washington, D.C. And when he heard that I've started developing the ShantiNiketan and the people who come here are mostly Hindus, he called me one day very agitated and he said, "You sold your soul to the devil." I said, "Why?" He said, "You're not developing this for the Catholics and you're developing this for the Hindus." I said, "I'm just developing it for human beings. For me, being a Hindu or a Christian or a Jewish or whatever you are, doesn't matter. We are all human beings, you know." And he wouldn't talk to me after that. Yeah, but then, I have to go follow my soul. I have to follow my heart, you know. Yeah, that is, I told you in India, there is the Indian Nobel laureate called Rabindranath Tagore built a university in Calcutta, near Calcutta, where incidentally was Mother Teresa too, in Calcutta. And he built this town called Shantiniketan, and actually the university was Shantiniketan, and it was a village. And I had been there in 1977, and I was so impressed with the minimalistic nature of education. Classes were only under the trees, everybody lived a simple life. And I said, "My God, this is utopia for me." And that name stuck to me. So when I named this place, I said, "Now this is perfect Shantiniketan." My wife's name happened to be Shantiniketan, and Shantiniketan Peace House is the ideal name for a retirement community. Yes, it's a home. Yes, I build each community to be an average of 100 units. I don't want to build more than that because the bottleneck is the food service. You know, if you make seniors stand in the buffet line for more than 10-15 minutes, they'll get very mad at you. So that actually drives the size of the community, which has to be around 100 for it to be economically viable to run the place. Well, it is so strange that for some reason Indians in the United States, first of all, every Indian, retired Indian, knows about ShantiNiketan in the United States. We are very well known, and for some reason they think only I can do this. I don't know what is so big rocket science about it. You pay the money, any builder will build it, and you organize your thing, and I can help you set up the food club and all those things. But nobody does it because I told you earlier there is really no much money in this project. And for me, it is feasible to do it because I don't expect any money out of these things. So everywhere, every week I get two, three requests. Oh, in my town, in the temple, there are at least 1,000 people. You will sell it like that. Okay, it's not that simple. It's easy to do. I don't think I can guide anybody to do, but I will not be doing because, as I was speaking to Gil yesterday, uh, that we are planning to retire now, and in our retirement, we are planning to travel the world and finally go and retire in Malaysia. I think you might have told Jean about it. Kuala Lumpur, yes. Yes. And but part of one of the thing is I have been watching a lot of YouTube on expat retirements, and especially in South America, a lot of expats go there, and I see the kind of houses they rent and live. I think a concept like Shantiniketan, where the expats can live together, we have a kitchen that will serve both local food and American food at a very low cost, because most of these expats going to these countries are for the low cost, and it's easily reproducible. It's no rocket science, anybody can do it. Yes. I will be walking out of this development in a couple of months with only my social security income. I have no bank deposits, no CDs, no stock, nothing. And no, I am not. That's what my wife was telling me. You probably didn't hear. When I said most of the Indians are millionaires, she said, except my husband. We have a lot of argument between us about this money, keeping money. She said, oh, you have to keep money. I said, for what? She said, if tomorrow, old age, we get very sick, we have to go to nursing home, and we need to spend, you need money. So I told her, so you want me to make money and save money to pay the hospitals? you know so really, that is her argument. You need money for medical care, and my philosophy is, if Medicare cannot keep me alive, it's time for me to go. I'll go happily, because what is the point in draining society's resources when they make you live for what are you going to do in your life anymore? And that is why I think most of the expats going out of this country to South America or Southeast Asia is the healthcare. And this is a point that bothers me, but nobody on TV or anywhere talks about this, the political system. Everything this country will outsource, whether it is coding, IT, whether it is production, everything is outsourced, but they will not outsource the medical. Okay, the China and India have the best doctors. In fact, most of the best doctors in the US are from China and India. Okay, I'm sure there are locals also, but it is the same people there. And I can have a bypass surgery for under 20, much less than $25,000 in India or Malaysia or China or anywhere. Here I had a bypass surgery in 2016 and my bill was 150,000 plus. What for? You go stay in a hospital here overnight, you go to ER and you stay, your bill is minimum 10 to $15,000. Everybody is talking about insurance, how to reduce the insurance cost, where to get the money. But if you notice, nobody talks about, just like outsourcing everything else, why don't you think of outsourcing? You let the Chinese and Indians come build hospitals here. Your healthcare will go to 1/10 of what it is, and so your insurance will be 1/10 of what it is. The most of Indians, I'm telling you, this is a secret. People go to India often, right? We can buy our 1 year medication for an amount that is the co-pay for 1 month here. Okay, that is the cost. I was in Malaysia a couple of years ago before COVID. I had a vertigo and I had to go to ER and then I stayed in the hospital. And then they discharged me the next day. And I had to pay cash and then they had to reimburse me. You know what it cost me for that? $600 for my ER, not only ER and hospital. When I left the hospital, they gave me medicines for a week. You know, yes, everywhere. No, no, I'm not. Yeah, lot of Indians do that. They go to India, and in this country, the medical system is so weird. Rest of the body they will cover. They will not cover your eye and your teeth as if it's not part of your body. I mean, nobody question. The problem is none of the TVs, they do not question the health care. Why can't you ask, if my hospital stay is $500 a night with so good care somewhere, why do you have to charge me $15,000 here? They will say, oh, Cadillac coverage. Come on, no, everybody doesn't need Cadillac. Maybe 1% of the people need. So, I, you know, you know what I think? The medical system in this country is the corruption of this country. Why nobody opens their mouth is all the senators and congressmen and everybody gets paid by the medical industry, so nobody will open their mouth about it. Right? I know. I mean, this is we talk about corruption in India and China and everywhere. This country, okay, we don't have to pay $10 when you go to the DMV office. That kind of corruption is not there. But then there is no reason why a hospital should stay overnight should cost you $20,000. Ridiculous. Nobody questions it. I would only say try to live and create for yourself what you need and not what you want. You will be amazed at what it really costs. Okay. My wife was always talking to me, no, you can't live in social security, you can't live in social. I said, take a pen and paper, let's list down what we need. She could not go over $1,500 a month. That is what it is needed. But you go to a financial analyst or a consultant, they will tell you you will need 5 million and 10 million to retire. You don't need that. You need a home, yes. Most of the people have the home. And if you try to plan your life within your social security income, as I am planning to, okay, your life will be blissful and peaceful. That's the only thing, at least in retirement. We've seen the world, we've done everything, we've gone for $100 dinner. That is why people are moving overseas. Even Europe is so cheap. My cousin just went to Valencia for a year, Spain. He said I had to go to the hospital and they didn't charge him a penny for staying and so rest of the, I think we have to learn from the rest of America, I mean rest of the world. On the most of the scare of retirees is that the health care will bankrupt you here in this country. It will. And you have to live in fear every day. And the only way to get out of that is get out of the country like I'm planning to. Okay? I'll never go bankrupt. I agree. I agree. And at least it doesn't cost anywhere in the world what it costs here. We need to think, the country needs to think about that. Oh, thank you. Please come, please come. And first you visit, stay with us, eat with us in Shantiniketan. And we would be honored if other than Indians come here. See the woman, the yes, yeah. On that note, Shantiniketan, so many when I sitting there and eating my meal, the single woman, most of them will come with their folded hands with tears in their eyes. They'll tell me, thank you for doing this. What would my life have become if this place was not there? Okay. And every resident will tell you, we have not seen heaven, but this is heaven for us right now. Every resident will say that. And I think it's very easy to recreate these communities, even for Chinese and Americans, Italians, Germans. It's easy to do it. In fact, in that NPR interview, they even quoted the Arizona study they did, that human beings, uh, when they are on their deathbed, want to be surrounded by people of their own kind. They said Germans want to be surrounded by Germans. They said, there is something about, I don't know if you've read about my story, I always talk about salmon. The salmon is born up in the hills, in the lake, comes down the rivers into the ocean, becomes very big, and then when it's about to lay the eggs, it goes upstream. That's where you see them flying over to back where they were born. They lay their eggs, the babies are born, and then they die there. It's human beings are similar. We want to go back to the roots. In fact, the first I wrote two books on this. One was called Seeking Roots. That ShantiNiketan is based on creating India, just seeking roots. So, thank you very much for having me and my wife. Thank you very much, and I think you're doing great service for retirees. Yesterday was the first I said, "Oh my God!" Just like the YouTube expat shows, I have to watch at least. I can watch those shows where I am planning to travel to. It's a great service you are doing. Great service. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I will. Okay. Thank you.